Welcome back to Rock Talk with the Doc Rocker. It is the album reviews podcast where every week we give each other an album we haven't heard before. And then a week later we come back and we do it. It's kind of like homework, but a lot cooler than homework, actually. So
homework looks fun to do.
Last week we went back in time to 1973. So this week we actually went a little bit more modern. Even though the album I gave you was 20 years old, I didn't think it was that old, but it
Still
is.
Pretty modern, 2000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gave you Nevermore's Dead Heart in a Dead World, and you gave me Steve Vai's A Story of Light from 2012.
Yeah, which even that doesn't feel like it's that old, but wow, it's already almost 10 years old. That's amazing.
Yeah. So what do you want to start with?
Well,
Steve Vai or Nevermore?
Let's start with Steve Vai, because he's the best. Why not?
Oh, okay. All right.
So what did you think?
This is it's Steve Vai. It's a great album. It's a really solid effort. It is fantastic. It's another fantastic album by Steve Vai. But again, and I'll say this every time you give me something that includes Steve Vai, I would be surprised if it was anything but awesome. I listened to this album about 5 times this week. I loved it, and I usually don't listen to stuff during my workday when I'm editing video, but I did with this one. I liked it so much. I was putting it on during the day just to hear a couple of these songs.
Yeah, there's definitely some real bangers.
Oh man,
the
opening song, it's like it had a great like Frank Zappa feel to it. The spoken Russian lyrics were real weird and stuff. I didn't know. I still don't know what. I was gonna look them up, but I'm like, whatever. It just sounded kind of. I want to keep the mystery, I guess. It was just. I don't think there was a bad track on it. Another one I gotta mention, another Zappa influenced track is Creamsicle Sunset. I love that song.
Oh yeah,
Creamsicle Sun. I love when music kind of like transports you. First of all, the name Creamsicle Sunset and how the song kind of felt kind of gave me this like childlike feeling. And I hope that's what he was going for. Like Creamsicle Sunset reminds me of like in the middle of the summer, I'm eating a creamsicle. I'm 10 years old. I'm, sitting
on the beach.
Or on you know what? That's on the beach would be better, but probably sitting on the porch in Partysville, looking, just kind of looking at the road, watching, that orange sunset kind of thing.
Yeah, totally.
But what I really liked about this album is the ones that I really liked, and it's because I like music with vocals in it. John the Revelator, old.
Oh God.
Book of the Seven Seals.
Yeah. Those two are basically one track, and it's fire. It is straight up fire. I love that connection.
John the Revelator that's an old like gospel song, old blues song. Like there's a lot that's been done and done
old
and done.
Spiritual.
But I've heard like some stoner rock bands do that song before, and they usually keep it simpler, But he just, it's like I said, it's prog metal meets blues. That's how I could describe it. It's the only way I can describe it.
It's pretty sick.
It's
definitely a highlight for me.
I'm gonna bash these Gaelic words if I try to pronounce them. Moloch, I'm not gonna. The Irish.
I want to say it's Mulak Atsi, but I could be wrong. Correct me on that. But yeah, I think it's Mulak Atsi.
I could get my wife in here and she'll probably be able to pronounce it. I think she speaks some Gaelic, but I'm not going to. We're just gonna move on. That's a beautiful song. That's just bottom line is album is shredding guitars and moving music all in one. And the Story of Light is beautiful. Lots of layers to it. A nice varied collection of tracks.
Very tight-knit package, I would say.
Yeah. It's another great Steve Vai album. But again, there isn't one that isn't good. I never heard that one before. That's the thing. I never heard this one before.
I didn't pick it up until the Modern Primitive era. When that came out, the whole like 25th anniversary of Passion and Warfare and stuff, that was like 2016, 2017. I went to see him. And then for me, the interesting thing about Story of Light is it's part 2 of what is supposed to be a 3-part thing that he's working on over the course of like, when I first got into him, it was like 2005, 2006. And 2006 is when the first part came out, Reflections. The whole Real Illusions thing. There's supposed to be a 3-part Real Illusions like master album set that he's eventually going to do. So like the first part is Reflections, and then on the back of Story of Light, it's of and then part 3, you know, we don't know. It's Reflections of whatever. You know, we don't know what it is yet. At least I don't know. You know, there might be some more hardcore fans that actually know more of the story than I do. I feel like Steve Vai himself probably didn't disclose that just yet. So yeah,
part 3's not out yet, right?
Part 3 is, as far as I know, not out yet. Although Steve Vai himself just put out a new track this week on Facebook. It's on his Facebook page. He's got a recording of him, and he plays the whole damn thing with one hand. It's insane. I forget the name of the track. I want to say it's Knapsack with a K. I think. I forget. I just watched it today, and it's incredible. I don't know if that's part of the Real Illusions trilogy. Just going off of the wiki page here. You know, Story of Light is the second installment of the Real Illusions trilogy, multi-layered, based on the amplified mental exaggerations of a truth-seeking madman. There's a little interview with Steve about it. Let's see. He presents the book, which is titled Under It All, which is the final track of Reflections. First chapter is called Story of Light. So there's all these references to this whole Real Illusions thing. And that's, you know, and then part of it is, you know, there is a, let's see, all of this had too much of a tilt. Russian is such a beautiful language because it has just the right amount of rough edges to just the right amount of romance. That's why I decided to do the opening track in Russian, which I actually didn't know that it was in Russian. I didn't know what language it was. I just like you, I took it at face value of like, it's just some cool different language that I don't know and I don't understand it, but it's really cool and it's really pretty. And he imbues it in his music so flawlessly. I'm just going to take it at face value and accept it for what it is. So yeah. So part 3 is coming at some point. I don't know if it's like right around the corner or if we're going to be waiting another, because there's a 6-year gap between Reflections and Story of Light. So who knows?
Well, he didn't have anything to do for the last year. So just like a lot of bands, like they're probably all waiting, you know, to release. You know, one thing that I hear Eddie Trunk talk about all the time on Trunk Nation on his radio show is all these bands he's been talking to, and he knows everybody in the music industry. They're all, a lot of them are not releasing their albums yet because of the pandemic. They're holding on to this music. And all they've been doing
so they can promote it on tours, I'm sure.
Yeah. And all they've been doing this last year is writing and recording and stuff. So who knows? He may have 3 albums ready to go, you know, that he may
dunk. Oh, that would be awesome. I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
If it sounds anything like this and the rest of the stuff that I've been, listening to lately.
I'll buy it all. I'll buy everything.
Like I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of instrumental music. A lot of times it bores me, but I could listen to Steve Vai all day. I could listen to him play. And I love some of the stuff he was playing on that. Just sounds so cool. He could be so melodic and non shreddy, and then he could shred. And it's just
perfect example. Weeping China Doll. The best song on the album, I would say. That is like the one song I use is like, I want to get somebody turned on to Steve Vai. That's what I show them.
There's not a bad
beautiful track.
Not a bad track on that whole album. And the ones that Gravity Storm's another one I want to mention. That's really cool, man. They're all great, and just like they're the ones that I first time through, like I'll listen, I'll jot a track name down if if it hits me the first time, and I'll go back again and I go back again. They're the ones like that are really sitting out for me, but it wasn't like there was one that didn't, so Steve Vai, Story of Light, thumbs up, another great one.
Cool. Well, I'm glad it worked for you.
Next up, awesome. We have the cheeriest album ever created, right?
Oh, yeah, sure. Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World, released in 2000. And I took your warnings with a grain of salt. You mentioned when we talked about setting up our assignments for this past week that you mentioned that, all right, Nevermore, Dead Heart in a Dead World is going to be like super, super heavy. It's really heavy. But I might not like the singer. The singer kind of sucks. And I figured,
I didn't say he sucks. I didn't say he sucks. He's unique.
Okay. Well, you probably said I wouldn't like him or something like that. I forget what exactly you said, but I kind of went in. I was like, I'll just go in with an open mind and I'll see what it is. As always, I didn't. I purposefully did no research on this. I just kind of took it in at face value and I went in completely cold, listened to the whole thing cover to cover over the course of the week. I did a couple tracks and stopped, and then a couple tracks. I actually had to break this one up a little bit because I wanted to kind of mentally process what I heard and kind of scatter it out. So that way, at least part of the album is still fresh in my mind by the time we start recording our podcast. And yeah, I really, really didn't like the singer. I really thought he was kind of trash. I would very much love to hear this album without vocals. I'd love to hear an instrumental version of it because everything else about it was phenomenal. I loved how heavy it was. It really, really delivered because like, I like some really, really heavy stuff. So whenever someone tells me like, oh, this album's really heavy, I'm like, is it really? You know, can I compare this to something like Obscene by Meshuggah and like put it in that camp of heavy? And this isn't quite stylistically like that at all. But as far as heaviness goes, it delivers. You know, you can put this right up in the ranks with some, not maybe not quite Meshuggah, but definitely like Pantera, as far as like real heaviness goes. And there are some riffs in this album that I really, really liked, and the guitar playing was awesome, and the solos were awesome, and the drum grooves were awesome. You know, especially with heavy stuff, it's so easy to just, you know, spam double bass and do like real kind of rippy, thrashy, shreddy kind of stuff. There was none of that. A lot of it like really, really, really grooves, and like so many moments where I'm like, that riff is cool. And then 30 seconds later, ooh, that riff is cool. And then 30 seconds later, ooh, that riff is cool. But the singer, I just didn't like the singer at all. I would say today I did the last 3 tracks. Insignificant, Believe in Nothing, and the title track, Dead Heart and a Dead World. I would say all of that was kind of a dud for me. All the kind of slower, more ballady kind of stuff, acoustic kind of. There was a couple of heavy parts in Dead Heart, but it really wasn't enough to carry it for me. I was like, you know, I'm kind of done with this. But I definitely would like to revisit the first 7 or 8 tracks because there were just so many moments that I was like, wow, this is really cool. These guys have a really good sound. It is really well mixed. It is really well produced. There are some real fun, heavy riffs, and it is super colorful. It's varied. You know, it's not quite something like a Doom album where you're going to hear like the same riff for like a really long time. As much as I love that, and that's a guilty pleasure of mine, like, let me just hear one riff for like 15 minutes and just make it like really, really heavy. You don't really get that. Riff is good. You don't really get that at all in Dead Heart and a Dead World. It's like, it changes pace pretty quickly. You know, most of the tracks are 5 minutes, if that. They're all pretty short. It's a short album, you know, 11 tracks take less than an hour. So it's definitely worth your time if you're into any semblance of metal at all. You know, the more modern stuff, the more classic stuff. Definitely check it out. Definitely check out this group because they're awesome. My tastes in singers are very particular, so I'm going to sit here and say he sucks and he's terrible and he's bland and I don't like him, but that doesn't mean you won't. So definitely check it out. It's a really good starting point for this band. And I'm certainly eager to check out more of their stuff, at least just to see what they're doing instrumentally, because what I heard instrumentally, I really, really liked. I'd give it, I would say, like, for the most part, a thumbs up. You know, just give me an instrumental version of it and it would be God. It would be God tier. So good.
Well, okay, that is all because of Jeff Loomis, the guitar player. Everything you liked about it, look him up. Just go look Jeff Loomis up and just, because he's a fantastic player. That's him. That's Jeff Loomis. I think he's with Arch Enemy now. Because Nevermore's gone. The singer's dead, actually. He died a day before my birthday about 3 years ago. Warrell Dane, his name was. He used to be in a band called Sanctuary. See, okay, here's the thing about his voice. It's you either love it or hate it. You know, I don't mind it. I think some of the things he does is a little... but sometimes he does some really weird but cool kind of harmonies and stuff. He can sing. The thing is, with him, back in the 80s and early 90s when he was with the band Sanctuary, he would sing in a higher register, more like a Rob Halford type of voice. When he formed Nevermore, which Nevermore basically is Sanctuary, but with 7-string guitars. It's pretty much the same band. I think the drummer's different. That's about it. They have, I want to say they have 3 albums before this one, before Dead Heart and a Dead World, and they have maybe 3 albums after, before they broke up. But if you like the music,
Yeah, I did.
Check out Jeff Loomis. Just check out his entire discography because he's a fantastic guitar player, one of the best. And you know, I'm not gonna call this guy out, but I remember some guy telling me that Jeff Loomis couldn't play for shit, and I was like, I'm not even gonna talk to you anymore.
Yeah,
you know,
could just be misplanted jealousy. Like he's really good, and I'm just gonna poop all over him because I'm jealous. Maybe that's what it kind of sounds like to me.
Yeah, the guy couldn't do half the things Jeff Loomis does, but he was like, "Oh, Jeff Loomis is shit." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not talking to you anymore."
Sounds like
you don't know what you're talking. So, but as far as this album goes, it's my favorite by them. As far as like the best one all the way through. You know, some of their other albums are a little uneven as far as like, you know, the song quality. This one I picked for you because it has the most great songs in a row, I think.
Yeah. The first 8, I was like, bang, 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 bang. This is awesome. Yeah. This is awesome. I wish the singer would shut up, but this is awesome. This is awesome. And then the last 3, I was like, I don't like the slower stuff. I'm done. You know.
Yeah. Like I said, Worrell is just you know, he's something, you know, some people like him, some people don't.
Yeah, I'd be curious to hear his Sanctuary stuff because it might be better. Yeah. Who knows?
You may like that's more classic heavy metal sound. That has a more of an 80s metal sound, we'll say, because it was recorded in the late 80s. And but his voice, it's up there. Like he used to be able to do really, really high Rob Halford type screams and stuff. And he didn't really do that in Nevermore. Like this is like the first album he does anything higher. Like I think it's the first or second song he does it higher register, but it's kind of squeaky. He doesn't do it as
it doesn't really go as high as some of the older stuff that I've heard.
No, and don't
my standards for that are like way up here. So
don't look up anything that he did at the end of Nevermore before they broke up, any live stuff, because the guy I think he had a lot of like medical problems or something. Like I said, he's passed away. I think it was a heart attack. He passed away from in Brazil a couple of years ago. Yeah, and he wasn't that old of a dude, but I think he had a lot of medical problems, and I guess it affected his voice because a lot of the live stuff they did later on, like in their last album's tour, he just couldn't even hit these notes anymore, and it's kind of hard to watch because I really, like I said, I really like the singer for what he is. It's unique, I'll say that. My favorite song on that album has to be The River Dragon, which is so damn heavy. And
yeah, that was a good one. That was a highlight for me too.
Man, it just like you were saying about the grooves and stuff, you know.
Yeah, it's not. I would say the first 2 tracks and then River Dragon were probably like the moments that like hooked me in, where I'm like, I'll eat this whole thing up and see what it has to offer.
Now, what did you think of the cover of Sound of Silence?
I'm not a big fan of that song. I'm not a big Simon and Garfunkel guy. You know, I love Disturbed, but when they did the whole Sound of Silence thing, I kind of got over it really quick. You know,
well, if you ever want to piss somebody off and they post on Facebook, they post the Sound of Silence by Disturbed. Like, see how beautiful this is. Reply to them with Nevermore's version of Sound of Silence.
Yeah.
Just be a jerk.
That whole, I just tuned it out. I was like, all right, I know what this is. It's fine. I'm just going to move on.
The weird thing was like, they completely rewrote the song. To me, that's the worst track on the album. I didn't really think it was necessary. But,
yeah, definitely a low point for me too. But.
Yeah. As far as Believe in Nothing, you mentioned that was like their only single. And there are a couple of bands actually covered that more recently. All That Remains, I don't know if you're familiar with that band.
A little bit. Very
they do a cover of Believe in Nothing, actually. I didn't know that until recently, but I revisited this album a couple of weeks ago, and that's why I gave it to you. I thought maybe you enjoy it. I'm glad at least you enjoyed the music of it, because that's
I enjoyed very much. It was awesome. I loved it.
Because when I was listening to it, something that was varied but heavy, and like I said, it's not just like you said, like it's easy just to do blast beats and straightforward stuff. But the drummer, I think it's Van Williams. He does some really tasty things, man.
Real tasteful drumming.
Yeah.
Which is hard to come by in this particular genre. It's usually damn stuff, you know.
Yeah. It's like, look how fast I could go, But with this guy,
exactly.
He does some really good stuff. If you could get past the vocal, I guess, check out more of their stuff.
Yeah, I think I will. You know, I just got to a point where I was just kind of tuning him out, and I was like, let me just really focus on the guitars and the drums, because that stuff I really like, and I'll just kind of keep going. So I did a couple tracks at a time, and then I got to a point where I was like, all right, I have to stop here, but I'll pick it up in a couple days. So I did, and that was how I got through it.
Some people just, they really don't like him. But some people are like, oh, he's great. I don't know what it is about it, man. Like I said, I don't mind his voice. And sometimes he does some interesting things. Sometimes the choices he makes with his vocals are like, why are you doing this? But it is a really solid musically, it's a really solid album. And I can't praise Jeff Loomis enough. I love everything he's done. He does some great like acoustic solo stuff too. I think, like I said, I think he's an arch enemy now, I believe. But look up his catalog, because if you liked what he did there, you know, you'll probably really like it.
I did. I'll probably like his other stuff too.
Well, there are our albums for this week. Steve I gets 2 thumbs up, and I guess
Nevermore gets 2 thumbs up, but you know, just with a little asterisk in that thumbs up rating. You know, like wary of the vocals if you're particular. But
I didn't know.
I feel like most of our viewers are going to listen to it and be like, "Well, this is awesome." You know, Danton's just a prestigious snob. You know, who cares what he says?
I didn't know. You know, I didn't know where you're going to go with that. I really didn't know which way. I knew it was going to be one way or the other. You know, because I don't think he's.
I was either going to love it or just poop all over it. Yeah.
Well,
I figured.
But at least the music saved it. At least the music saved it, because like we agreed, the music
definitely made it worth it.
Really solid on it. Really solid. Okay. Well, if you like what we do here, of course, go to our Facebook group, Rock Talk with Doc Rocker, and join the conversation. And we will see you again probably next week with 2 more albums that we're going to talk about that we never heard of before. And of course, like our page and Facebook page and all that good stuff, because the more people we get listening and watching and communicating with us, the more we'll want to do this every Friday.
Yes.